Hey guys, so I'm currently in my car at the moment, recording this because uh, I'm just here at lunch in a random parking lot, and I thought it would be a good time to talk about this since tomorrow it's going to be starting the useless, not important, but also marketable Pride Month. And I've been getting a lot of emails from Quora, which I have an account on because I like to read questions about certain topics, mostly comic book or video game wise. But one email that I kept getting constantly emailed about, a question and an answer, and I thought it would be a perfect time to answer this in my own words, since tomorrow's Pride Month. Is the question is basically phrased as a conservative slash Republican, do I support LGBTQ rights? And I'm going to come at this on a very logical and moral sense. I'm not going to try to spew hatred of any kind, and I'm going to explain my position fully, okay? I'm not just going to leave it at that. But my answer is I can't support something that never existed. There's no such thing as LGBTQ rights. There never has been, there isn't none, and there never will be. Because there already are rights. Not just for LGBT people, but for everyone. They're called civil rights. Okay? And those civil rights are afforded to all Americans. They should be. And it's the government's responsibility to make sure of that. If LGBT people don't have not civil rights, then the government has failed them, and it's the government's responsibility to make sure they have civil rights. It is not the government's responsibility to implement new policies or rights that are only afforded to people who identify with the LGBT community. It makes no sense. Because at that point, it's not about rights, it's about privileges. Okay? I would like to know is, if you're talking about LGBT rights, what LGBT rights do you have? Specifically, that people like me do not have, for example, because if you have to gain an extra right to get to be on, I guess to have civil rights, that makes no sense, because civil rights are applied no matter what. That's what I'm confused about. Just because you are attracted to someone of the same sex as you are does not mean you are oppressed. It also does not mean that you're entitled to special treatment or special rights because of it, because that is a life choice. Okay? Things like skin color, gender, okay, age, those are things you really have no control over, no matter how much the media or social media wants to tell you. Okay? But you can choose not to sleep with someone of the opposite sex. Some people you can choose not to sleep with someone of the opposite sex. Therefore, you are able to choose to not sleep with someone of the same sex. It's just that simple. It is a choice, not something you're born with. But with that being said, I can't think of anything that the LGBT people don't have that I have. Okay? There are certain, I want to say, issues arising when boundaries are crossed. And it's usually first crossed by people who identify with the LGBT community, not necessarily the LGBT community as a whole. Okay? And these usually involve, invading other people's, lives. Like for example, if someone who is transgendered identifies with the opposite sex, they cross the boundaries of forcing everyone to acknowledge that. I don't have to acknowledge anything of you, okay? You don't need my acknowledgement. You don't need my permission. You don't need my acceptance. That is way too high of a standard, even for you. Or even then, when someone who either sympathizes or supports or is part of the LGBT community wants to teach this explicit material to young children in order for them to not be bigoted in the future, that is also crossing a boundary. All right? If talking about LGBT rights includes allowing them to do that kind of garbage, allowing them to cross boundaries and not be shamed or criticized, that is not a right, that is a privilege. Okay? We don't need a Pride Month for any of that. Pride Month is nothing more than a marketing scheme to promote this sort of shit so that they can make money. We don't have a straight month, okay? We don't have a straight month at all, so we shouldn't have a Pride Month. We definitely shouldn't have a Pride Month because there are a whole bunch of people from the LGBT community that's going to take advantage of that and milk it as much as they can so they can oppress other people. If you don't believe me, there was an incident on YouTube several years ago where a so-called journalist called Carlos Maza decided to post a video talking about how since Fox News isn't part of the left-leaning political spectrum, it therefore means that the right controls the media. It's all kinds of weird. And Steven Crowder called him out on that, calling him a lispy queer, because that's how Carlos described himself. And then Carlos got mad saying that since it's Pride Month, Steven's only being bigoted because it's Pride Month. It's all kinds of ridiculous, and it's just going to cause more division. Okay, Pride Month is just a fad that was created in recent years, just so people can feel great about their terrible life choices. Okay, you don't need a Pride Month just so you can feel validated that sleeping with someone with the same sex is a good choice. Okay? If you need a Pride Month to tell yourself that, then that's a sign that says you need to really, really take a step back and reconsider a lot of things. You may have to see a therapist. I don't know, but you definitely need to seek help if you have to seek acceptance and validation from complete strangers like me. All right? So guys, that's the whole thing. I'm not trying to say I hate gay people or trans people. I really don't. I just don't see the whole grandstanding thing as necessary. All right? Because sooner or later, we're going to get to a point where we're going to have to draw a line in the sand so deep that even crossing it by either sides will be a declaration of war. We need a lot of common sense from both sides of the political aisle to come together and say, let's just not do this. Let's just stick with what we have been working with for the past couple of centuries and just leave it at that. Because it works. So I'm not gonna speak on this. I have nothing against gay people. I have nothing against transgender people until both of them start crossing boundaries. My only principle is just be a decent human being. Have a bit of decency in your life. Reflect upon you and upon others. That's pretty much all I really expect from people. Not that difficult. Anyway, guys, that's all I really have to say. If you want to engage, leave a comment down below. I would love to engage with these people. I'm open for discussion about this. And if you guys like the video so far, just leave a comment. And also share this video. So let's start conversation. And don't forget to subscribe to some more. So without further ado, guys, take care, have a good life, and let's just be decent.